Welcome to Americana Archives. Today's headline is Reptile on His Arm, Perilous Adventure of Locomotive Engineer in Kentucky. The subheadline says, with big rattlesnake coiled about him, he stuck to his post and then steamed the reptile to death. It says, with a big rattlesnake coiled around his left arm and his right hand gripping the reptile just back of the head, which spread agape, showed the pink forked tongue and the poisoned fangs that dealt certain and agonizing death. Engineer Johnny Clark of the Louisville and Nashville Railroad guided his train over the Kentucky Central branch of the Louisville and Nashville. The brave engineer knew that to quit his post would mean a wreck and endanger the lives of the passengers, so he held the reptile at bay with one hand while he manipulated the lever with the other, despite the fact that the heavy coils of the reptile wound around his arm made it difficult for him to move. Finally, he brought the train safely to its next station, and after stopping it, put his dreaded companion to death in a unique manner. Clark was bringing number 11 down from Paris to Rouen. Between Lancaster and Paint Lick are two tunnels, both located in a remote and rocky section. In the high ledges and crags, the rattlesnake, or as the scientist terms it, the Crotalus haridus, makes its loathsome den. On Monday, a week ago, a rattlesnake appreciating the hygienic value of a sun bath coiled itself on one of the rocks just above the longest tunnel. Clark brought number 11 through, and just as his cab passed the snake, dislodged from its post by the jar of having fallen in fright, landed in the cab. Seeking to escape, it ran up the reverse lever, and before Clark had realized its presence, had coiled about the engineer's left arm. It was fortunate for Clark that the reptile did not attempt at once to strike. If it had, it would have meant the end of Clark and the probable destruction of the train. But the snake, after wrapping around Clark's arm, swayed to and fro a moment, fixing its stony eyes on the engineer. The coils tightened, the neck arched, the jaws slowly opened, and Clark heard the buzz of the rattles. At that sound, Clark realized that it was time to do something, and gripped the snake just below the head with his free hand. His first thought was to tear the reptile off and throw it from the cab. But with one arm held by the snake and the other engaged with its head, he could not do this. His train was also jumping over the rails at a rapid speed on a rough part of the road, and he knew he could not take any chances. Mile after mile sped by, with Clark keeping off the snake and running his train. Roland was near, and if he could reach the station and stop the train, he would be able to finish the rattler. The fireman, terror-stricken by the very sight of the rattler, was back on the tender, not daring to enter the cab. Roland drew near, and Clark reversed the lever. The train slackened its speed, and the engineer brought it to a stop at the station. The fireman leaped from the cab and fled. Then, with his left hand, Clark opened a stopcock, while with his right hand he brought the snake's head into the steam that poured forth. The ugly body writhed as the snake, under the pain of its execution, tried with all its strength to get away. But Clark, although his hands suffered some from the fiery steam, doggedly held on until the snake's writhings grew more and more feeble and finally ended. The rattler measures 3 feet 6 inches and had 8 rattlers. Clark took the body to Cincinnati, where he will have it mounted and hung in Superintendent Hood's office. The rattles will be used for a watch charm. This story came from the great state of Ohio, being reported in the Defiance Express of August 13th, 1903. Thank you for joining us today. If you want to continue to uncover all of America's lost and forgotten history, then remember before you leave to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and remember to like and comment below. And we will see you next time on Americana Archives.